Justin Muturi, to members of the August House, he is Mr. Speaker, sir, but to his friends and peers, he is simply JB, a man who from the onset featured nowhere in the list of prospective candidates for the top position in the National Assembly. But on the 28th of March last year, he rode on the Jubilee coalition's tyranny of numbers to trounce his main competitor and immediate former Speaker, Kenneth Marende.
Honor members, honor members.
But 9 months later, his performance as the head of the legislative arm of the government has been on the spotlight. To him, leading 349 members in the National Assembly has not been a walk in the park.
Well, given the fact that there has never been such a parliament in the history of Kenya before, I would say that the National Assembly has done quite well.
However, critics have often questioned his impartiality and judgment, especially on subjects that trigger Jubilee-called political fireworks in the House. At times, some members mincing no words while describing his conduct.
It does not matter. This is not the place for drama.
And Mr. Speaker, consider this matter because indeed, whether you want to kowtow to the whims of the executive and appear to be a defender of the throne, your number one responsibility is the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya. And that is where your primary responsibility ought to lie.
Honorable members.
So what say you, Mr. Speaker?
I think the accusations about holding brief are just the tired thinking of some Kenyans who do not accept defeat. That in a contest such as the one that I went through on 28th of March, there was bound to be a winner and a loser. In fact, I can tell you in America, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mr. Bonner, is the leader of the Republican Party in the House. But when he is Speaker, he is the Speaker of the House. Can you imagine? I mean, of course, here in Kenya, it will be unfathomable. If they are already seeing me holding brief for the executive, how would they treat a situation like the one in America?
That the Speaker is a close confidant of President Uhuru Kenyatta is not in doubt. In fact, he sought the Mbeere North parliamentary seat on the president's TNA party in the March 4th polls, but fell to Charles Muriuki Njagagwa of the Alliance Party of Kenya, popularly known as the BAS, only for TNA to hand him a lifeline by nominating him as their candidate for the Speaker's job.
Of course, when that party that happened to have sponsored me wins a motion, it is not me who has won the motion. Even if it loses, it is not me who has lost. Those are democratic processes. My business is to preside. As the direction that any business in the House takes, that is the responsibility of the party leaderships in the House.
The father of three prior to his entry in politics served in the judiciary for more than 15 years. The Speaker's critics claim that he's rigid, unlike his predecessor Kenneth Marende, especially when handling sensitive situations in the House that are likely to trigger political emotions.
Honorable members, it will not be business as usual.
His admirers, however, describe him as a stickler to rules and procedures.
In enforcing discipline in the House, you will, just like making a decision in a court of law, there will be losers and there will be winners. The winners will obviously salute the decision that you take, while the loser will condemn and castigate. But I'm not moved by those things because this is a democracy.
At times, debates in the House in 2013 degenerated into name-calling and shouting matches.
These are losers and they will continue losing, and we are just saying it is true. Madam Speaker, either way.
situations that left observers wondering whether the man from Mbeere was in control of the House.
It does not matter, Honorable Kaluma, it does not matter what copy of the Constitution you are holding.
And indeed, whether he was the right man for the job.
Obviously, and I feel, I say it, I'm a human being. That was disgusting behavior. Let me say I've been a bit lenient because I have not always thrown every member who becomes disorderly out. Largely because a lot of times I understand, sometimes a member will feel very strongly about something happening. And remember, we held elections just this year. So I appreciate that there could be still bitter memories. Losing elections is not easy, and people don't take it easily. There are some people whom it affects quite intensely, and therefore sometimes when I look at the behavior of certain members, I imagine that maybe they may be having some bitterness about certain things that may have happened. And therefore, I restrain myself from having to always take drastic action.
And barely days into the office, the Speaker had to defend his charges against accusations of attempting to increase their salaries and allowances in total disregard of the recommendations by the Salaries and Remuneration Commission. Activists and citizens taking their protest to the doorstep of the House and opting for pigs to portray their anger with the lawmakers' perceived greed.
But unfortunately, the public did not understand what the Parliament was about to do. Parliament was merely arguing that the SRC was unfair to members because they gazetted the new skills, new terms of service on the 1st of March when elections were on 4th of March. A lot of members were arguing that by the time they were making decisions to vie for positions, the terms which they found having been gazetted were not the ones that they thought were going to apply to them. And therefore, naturally, one would have expected that, therefore, members should express themselves, in fact, obviously, with disgust at what SRC had done.
But the National Assembly has often been forced to adjourn abruptly due to quorum hitches.
A member of Parliament, as you know, in Kenya, will be required to go and even inspect construction sites to see babies being delivered in some instances. All manner of mundane issues. Members of Parliament will be expected to do that in their representative role. So when they are doing that, it is unfair to say that they are not in the House. Because when that particular member who is not present on that day now is in the House, another one will be out in their constituency doing something similar, something different, but still an aspect of representation. Nobody has defined representation to be only sitting in the chamber and speaking about what you have been told by your people.
In your stay as a Speaker of the National Assembly, would you respond to such accusations when they say members of Parliament are the only guys in this country who earn too much money and do too little work?
So, to say members are not sitting, I think is really failing to understand that particular role. Secondly, we cannot keep 349 members all in the plenary. It would be an extremely wasteful way of spending man hours. That is why we have committees of the House.
And then the supremacy wars between the National Assembly and the Senate, on which of the houses is superior, that even the Supreme Court had to intervene.
Senators are members of Parliament. They are my members. I look after them. Even when I was negotiating with the salaries, SRC about salaries, there are some of the people I was representing, they were hiding. The senators were hiding because they didn't want to be seen to be, but quietly, they were encouraging me to do what I was doing. So I cannot have a beef with the Senate because it is a house of Parliament. Just like the National Assembly is also a house of Parliament.
Muturi is married and has 3 children, but how does he unwind? And is there a softer side of the often stern-faced speaker?
Well, I like socializing with people, discussing topical issues, and of course having my nyama choma. It helps a great deal from time to time.
JB Muturi will in April this year turn 58, and he hopes that 2014 will be a better year for the National Assembly with more legislative work than the Jubilee Code rivalry that dominated in 2013. Francis Gachuri, NewsMakers series.